Wetlands of the Southern Tablelands in New South Wales with Alice de Puit. Where are the wetlands of the Southern Tablelands? There are over 20,000 wetlands in New South Wales, covering about 4.5 million hectares. The majority of this is found in the Murray-Darling Basin. Apart from here, they are commonly found on the coast, including estuarine wetlands and coastal lagoons and lakes. There are also several freshwater wetlands on the tablelands on the higher alpine regions. What is a wetland? As the name suggests, a wetland is an area of land that is wet. They are areas of land that contain lots of water, either cyclically, intermittently, or permanently. Wetlands contain slow-moving or still saltwater, freshwater, or brackish water. This broad definition of a wetland covers a wide range of habitats including lakes, lagoons, rivers, floodplains, swamps, bogs, billabongs, marshes, and coral reefs. To be classified as a wetland, it does not need to be wet all year long. Rather, it needs to be wet enough for its plants and animals to be adapted to. Many wetlands in inland New South Wales can be dry for up to 10 years. Locally here in Canberra, we see some wetlands, Dixon and Lanham for example, stay dry for months at a time. What are the physical features of a wetland? Wetlands are soaked or filled with water. The water is often from underground, which then seeps up, and if not, the water may flow in by rivers or lakes, and in coastal regions, the salt water soaks the land. Wetlands are filled with plants called hydrophytes, which are plants that grow in or on water. Wetlands are often filled with grasses, shrubs, trees, or mosses. Trees are more common in drier wetlands as they are able to produce more robust vegetation. The wetter wetlands tend to have grasses or mosses as their primary hydrophyte. Wetlands are not a specific size. They range from the size greatly from the size to a pothole to salt marshes. There are hundreds of different species of plants found in wetlands. Plants in wetlands have to be well adapted to dry and wet seasons that wetlands experience. The plants found in wetlands depend on whether the water is fresh, saline, or brackish, surface and underground drainage, frequency of inundation, which is the overwhelming abundance of people or things, soil, temperature, rainfall, and topography. Plant species found in wetlands that rely on a constant supply of water include sedges and rushes, while other plant species that can survive through slightly drier climates include mosses, ferns, grasses, trees, and shrubs. Algae is also a common primitive plant, meaning they are one-celled plant-like organisms, but they lack stems and roots. However, they do contain chlorophyll. Many species of birds rely on wetlands in New South Wales. Not only do wetlands offer drought refuge to birds, they also provide a dependable source of food for birds because of their wide range of plant species. Birds that rely on wetlands to survive are known as waterbirds. They rely on the wetland for food, wading, diving, and for provision for their nests. There are many different species of waterbirds that thrive in wetlands, such as waterfowl, including ducks, geese, and swans, grebes, pelicans, cormorants, ibis, and herons. As expected, fish are also a major species found in the New South Wales wetlands. Inland wetlands in New South Wales contain iconic species of fish such as the Murray cod. In New South Wales, freshwater wetlands support 49 native fish species ranging from carp gudgeons that are about 5 centimeters long to the Murray cod, which can grow up to 1.8 centimeters long and can weigh up to 114 kilograms. Other types of fish that are commonly found in New South Wales wetlands include the golden perch, the Australian smelt, the bony bream, and the Murray-Darling rainbow fish. Frogs are another common species found in wetlands. Out of the 71 different species of frogs found in New South Wales, 47 of them are dependent on wetlands to survive. Most species of frogs found in wetlands have low tolerance for dry climates. Frogs found in inland wetlands in New South Wales, where water can be scarce in certain times of the year, rely on the flooding of wetlands to breed successfully. Common wetland frogs include the striped marsh frog, the brown-striped grass frog, the spotted grass frog, the green tree frog, and the red-eyed green tree frog. Many reptiles also rely on the wet climates of wetlands in New South Wales. Some of these species, such as the freshwater turtles, live in wetlands for most of their lives, whereas other species, like skinks, snakes, and water dragons, live in wetlands for part of their lives and spend the rest of their life on dry ground close to rivers or open water. Aquatic invertebrates are also found in wetlands for most of or all of their lifetime. These play a crucial part in the food chain of a wetland as they provide food for larger animals and they recycle good nutrients. Invertebrates are also important because they are commonly relied upon to determine the water quality of wetlands. Some of the common invertebrates include crabs, mosquito larvae, leeches, mussels, sea slugs, shrimp and yabbies, and snails and worms. A less expected species found in New South Wales wetlands are mammals. There are 9 known species that rely either completely or partly on New South Wales wetlands. Native mammals that are dependent on wetlands for all of or most of their life cycle include water rats, platypus, fishing bat, and swamp rats. Other mammals that spend part of their lives living in or around wetlands include the yellow-footed antechinus, the common planigale, and the common blossom bat. The energy trophic level shows us that from one level to the next level, 90% of the starting energy is not available to the next level, because that energy is used for certain processes, such as movement, growth, respiration, and reproduction. Some energy is also lost through heat and waste. Therefore, the leftover energy, 10% of the total amount, is passed on to the next level. As we move further up the trophic level, it is obvious to see that there is less energy available and fewer organisms can be supported. As you can see from this image on the right, one wetland can support over 5 million primary producers, for example moss or grasses, while there are only 3 tertiary consumers, for example rats or bats. The trophic level pyramid of production makes the order of consumers and producers visible. From this production pyramid, it is seen that aquatic plants are the primary producer. This would be talking about grasses, mosses, and other hydrophytes. The primary consumers would be the aquatic vertebrates such as leeches, crabs, and sea slugs. The secondary consumers would include the smaller fishes that would be feeding off these primary consumers. A subsection to the secondary consumers would be the larger fish that would feed off the smaller fish. Finally, the tertiary consumers would consist of the birds and mammals that would feed off the secondary consumers, the fish. The food chains of wetlands depict the path of food consumption. The chain begins with autotrophs, which are the source of all food. There are plants that produce food through inorganic material. Autotrophs feed herbivores or primary consumers, which are then the food for the carnivores or secondary consumers. The carnivores are then the food for the tertiary consumers. Each different level of consumption in a food chain is called a trophic level. This is seen from the diagram on the left. Despite the international importance of wetlands, little acknowledgement of their biomass or their productivity has been received. The total biomass of wetlands is primarily affected by 3 factors: the NP ratio, total nutrient supply, and morphological and physiological traits of plants. Biomass variations are greater on the moister sites such as floodplains, grasslands. Moore and Keddy, previous researchers on the biomass of wetlands, found a relationship between species richness and biomass, although it has also been proven that a huge number of factors can make the process of prediction of species richness from community biomass. Wetlands have been declining globally both area-wise and quality-wise due to negative effects on the water environment and the associated coastal biota. Therefore, the need for further research on wetlands is becoming greater in order to gain the knowledge to be able to predict later vegetation responses. A study known as REFRESH is currently conducting research on wetlands in over 5 different countries. The results from these experiments and research will then allow us to know the biomass of wetlands. However, there has been an estimation of the above-ground biomass of wetlands. This figure shows the lifeform distribution in wetlands in West Estonia. New South Wales wetlands are highly productive ecosystems in that they act as nurseries for waterways and they provide a safe habitat for many species of birds, fish, frogs, reptiles, insects, and mammals. Their productivity is a result of their biologically diverse system that increases water quality, controls erosion, maintains the flow of streams, and is home to at least 1/3 of the world's endangered or threatened species. And that, my friends, is a wetland.